Hello. All right, so now we're going to talk about the nervous system. So within the nervous system, it's one of the many organ systems that we have in our body. It's normally one of those things we don't really notice until it's broken. By definition, it is really all about communication. It is a mass network of communication throughout the body. It is receiving and sending signals, typically in response to some kind of stimulus. And it sounds really sciencey, but technically, if I hear a bird, that's information that's being processed within my central nervous system. So that is one part of the entire nervous system. We have the central, and then we also have peripheral. So within those systems, the central nervous system is made up of our brain and our spinal column. So within our vertebrae, that's the protection, the bones protect the spinal column. And then from there, we have the peripheral nerves. So peripheral nerves actually make up both the nerves that go out to all of the arms, legs, appendages, but we also have 12 pair that are in our brain. And within those 12 in our brain, they're helping us smell, see, even spatial concept. There's the idea of proprioception. Those are all things that are going on within the peripheral nerves in our brain. So the peripheral nerves in our brain are not part of the central nervous system. Central nervous system is more for processing. Now, to talk a little bit more about processing, we have a lot of different processes. So again, I kind of mentioned already about the sensory idea, where we're taking in information from stimulus. But we also have motor. So me speaking with my hands, these are signals going out to tell my muscles in order to move. Now, the flip side, the combination, of both of those would be more of an integration idea or integrative. And the nervous system is just that. It takes the information in and it tells the body what to do. When we're talking about the different neurons that actually take the information both in as well as move it out, there are specific names. So the sensory neuron, it's the idea of the information coming in, that nerve impulse coming in. I feel pressure. I feel how hot or how cold it is outside. Those are called afferent, starts with an A. Then we also have efferent, which are more motor neurons. These are the ones that typically we see when we're exercising or even when we're shivering. We'll get into that a little bit later. Other sensory neurons that we have certain ones called mechanicoreceptors, which they measure, again, sensory, they measure pressure. We have nociceptors, which pain, we all know what pain feels like. We have certain receptors that interprets that information. We also have chemoreceptors, smell. We also have photoreceptors, sight and light. They're all different sensors within our body, just like in a vehicle. When we always talk, we go to the auto body shop and they say we need to replace this sensor. It's $300. Well, we look at that like, it's this little tiny sensor. Why is it $300? All sensors are very important, especially in our body. So moving back to those motor neurons. So now that we've taken in information, we've taken in sight, we've taken in smell, we've even taken in pain and pressure. Now we have to think of that idea of the integrative function of the system, and that information coming in is going to tell our body what to do. So more specifically, within using that integration of the sensory and the motor neurons, we can often see that in the somatic and autonomic system. That is another breakdown coming down from the peripheral system. So again, we have the central, we have the peripheral, and then those peripheral now have different jobs. They're either part of somatic or autonomic. When we're talking about autonomic, it's exactly how it sounds. It's automatic. It's the idea of we are processing the senses or that stimulus that's coming in, and then the body decides what to do automatically. That system, bear with me, that system breaks down into two more parts. So those two more parts of the autonomic is the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. When we think of the sympathetic, this is our fight or flight. This is that feeling of, I need to prepare for activity. This is the natural way that the individual feels stimulus. Sometimes we feel fear, we can feel cold. That fight or flight or that automatic response is either I could shiver, I could run away, or I could be ready to fight. hence why they call it fight or flight. Then, other than the sympathetic, we have the parasympathetic. This is the opposite of being ready to fight. This is that rest and digest. This is that system that typically, when we're about to go to sleep, this is the system that we're trying to trigger. We're trying to ultimately slow the body down, decrease the amount of sensory input, turn our brain off, right? So that we can rest, so that we can recover for the next day, and also we can digest through the night. So in the grand scheme of things, when we're thinking about the nervous system, we normally think the brain, right? Well, as far as the human movement system, the brain is one part of it. Skeleton and then also the muscles are the other two parts that allow the body to move, both automatically without thinking or consciously because we want to go hit the gym. Well, hopefully that cleared up some confusion when it comes to the central nervous system. Check out your book. There's some great images in there to give you a little bit more information.